Janina, I guess it's a good time to start.
Okay,
If anyone joins late, the slides will be available and yeah,
and the recording will be sent out.
recording
So,
amazing.
good afternoon, everyone. This is morning for us in California. Aya is from the Bay Area. I'm from San Diego. I am Janine Aii, LebNet's Executive Director. You probably heard from me through the emails. LebNet is a Lebanese network for tech professionals in North America. One of our key missions is to nurture the youth and create opportunities for our youth of Lebanese descent in Lebanon to thrive in careers in technology post-graduation. So we are so excited to host you as our third co-host for the LebNet Tech Fellows. It's really heartwarming to see you all joining us as we're at 77 participants. This is like a really بيعبي القلب مثل ما بيقولوا and عم نشم ريحة لبنان فيكم, and it gives us great hope this morning to have you all join us. I hope you find this program amazing. We're going to have an amazing lineup of panelists and speakers حتى يعطوكم the latest in technology, give you exposure to various careers in technology, as well as help you with self-branding, resume writing, cover letter writing, effective communication, so on and so forth. So with no further ado, I would love to turn it over to Aya, who is our leader for this program. She conceived this program. I am extremely grateful for her and for the amazing team around her who have put this program together. So Aya, kick us off. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Janine. Good morning, everyone. So as Janine said, I'm currently near San Francisco, so it's 8:10 a.m. here. And this is the only thing I'm happy to wake up for this early on a weekend. So thank you so much for applying for the program, for joining us. This is the third year of running this program, and it has changed so much. And we actually also have Batul Hamoud and Jahaf Tabian on the call. Both of them were alumni of the first fellowship cohort 2 years ago. And at the end, we'll have an Ask Me Anything. So if you have any questions to them about their experiences, we also welcome you to ask as many questions as you want. So what we'll do today is I'll just go through a few slides just on the program, the schedule, regulations, expectations, and then we can just spend the remaining time answering any questions. In general, so yeah, just very brief background on me. I went to AUB in Lebanon from 2016 to 2020, and then I graduated and came straight to Stanford. So now I'm a fifth-year PhD in electrical engineering and education. So again, at the end, we'll have time to talk about anything that you want. But again, welcome to the program. So I'm assuming you can see my screen. And I'll just give you some background on why we started the program. But before I start, if I'm using any words that are jargon or unclear, please pause me and let me know. You can just speak up or you can send something in the chat. And Batul and Yahaf will keep an eye on that. We're conducting the program in English because, as you know, we're dealing with technology and technology is mostly pervasive in English. So maybe in the future, hopefully we can run an Arabic version. But for now, again, please pause me if I'm going too fast or if there's anything that's unclear. So we thought of launching the Tech Fellows program a few years ago because Lebanon is going through periods of instability and shortages in terms of available resources for students. In general, as you all know, as engineering or technical university students in Lebanon, the current setup of undergraduate technical majors is not necessarily supportive of students directly going into industry. So you cover a lot of theory in your classes, you work on limited real life projects, but there isn't a lot of exposure to what soft skills you need to actually land jobs in industry or to go to grad school after. There also isn't a lot of professional mentorship. A lot of you don't actually get exposed to people working, in the dream jobs and careers that you would want to have one day. So it's very academic and not very practical. And so that's where we thought the Tech Fellows program could come in as a good adhesive between both worlds. We also think a lot about the hidden curriculum, which is honestly something I didn't know when I was an undergrad in Lebanon. I was the first person in my family to study engineering. My mom didn't go to college, and so I did not necessarily come from an environment that knew all the tips and tricks to studying at university and how to succeed. And there's a lot of research on this. So I'll bring up research a lot because I'm a PhD student and it's very important for me. But research highlights the hidden curriculum, which is basically, a set of guidelines or things to do or strategies that students who come from families where there have been generations of university graduates are probably exposed to, while students like many of you and like me who do not come from that background have to struggle a bit more. It affects a lot of students who come from a first generation, so you're the first in your family to go to college, or low income families. And a lot of our families have fallen into that category because of the economic crisis. And it also affects young women a lot because there still aren't as many women in engineering as there are men. And so what does the hidden curriculum look like? It could be, using your parents' connections for internships, family wealth, which, can pay for specific prep for college or applications, family or friends. They might be leading strong and influential careers, so you can learn firsthand and closely from their experiences. And so again, this hidden curriculum is not available to many of us, which is why we thought the LebNet Tech Fellows program could actually bring to all of us here, regardless of our backgrounds, resources, additional training, talking to um, engineers and leads in the field, and technologists in a very intimate space on Zoom. So that's where the LebNet Tech Fellows program can come in. And then other than that, my big monitor is behind my laptop, which is why my camera is moving. So there aren't really a lot of shadowing opportunities. In Lebanon, we know that some universities that you go to actually require you to complete an internship before you graduate. But other than that, you don't really spend significant amounts of time throughout your years during undergrad around people working in the jobs that you want to pursue and in the technology sector. So there might not be a lot of insight on actual career prospects or graduate school planning beyond undergraduate year. So that's where the Tech Fellows program comes in. And then finally, there's an unprecedented economic crisis, and we know that education is a great vehicle for upward social mobility. Education has changed the life of many of us, of me, of Janine. And of the rest of our Tech Fellows program team, Hussein, who now works at Microsoft, OpenAI, we have folks on the team from other tech companies as well, so you'll get to meet them throughout the program. And so in general, we're trying to cover those nitty-gritty details that would just add to your confidence in terms of pursuing next steps after university. And we're not only covering the details, we're also actually helping you prepare your materials so you're ready to apply as soon as you graduate. And so we'll talk about that a bit more soon. And then finally, there is, yes, the unprecedented economic crisis seems like it's looming above our heads, not only for now, but maybe for the near future too. And so we hope that if you're participating in this program, you're also considering helping everyone around you who might also be pursuing similar majors, who might have similar dreams. We think a lot of the ripple effect. So if you're here and you're benefiting from the material we're providing, we hope that you can also share it or talk to others about the program, encourage them to join, because that's how we can collectively carry our communities, again, in terms of upward social mobility. So please pause me whenever if you have any questions. I'm just giving background on the program. So basically, what you should expect to gain by the end of the program is we're hoping to counteract this hidden curriculum. We are hoping that regardless of the background that you come from, you can plan in advance for what skills you need to work on, get your material ready so when it's time to apply for jobs or to apply for graduate school, you're all set for that. So we'll focus on developing much needed soft skills to find, land, and succeed in opportunities. You'll be exposed to technologists from very different fields, people working in software and hardware and product management and user interface design and user experience. So we'll talk more about that in a bit. Um, You'll also will focus on complementing traditional educational training. So we assume that at your universities, you're already taking courses covering the theory and covering the technical skills that you might need, but we're focusing on whatever is not offered at your university. So how to actually write a cover letter that showcases the skills that you need for the job, or how to network, how to reach out to people who work at the companies that you want to join, how to tell your story. So we'll talk about that more. We're also hoping that you will explore opportunities beyond the conventional paths. There are growing opportunities and technology in Lebanon, but at the same time, again, as someone who did undergrad in Lebanon, we aren't aware of many of the possible jobs that we could pursue. Also, as someone who applied for a PhD, I had no clue that PhDs, for example, offer you full funding if you want to come and do research. So a lot of things that we'll talk about that might open your eyes to options you weren't considering. Um, you'll learn how to network effectively. So I personally used to be very scared of reaching out to people I didn't know who used to work at big companies or who used to do research at big universities I was interested in. So we'll share all this wisdom with you during the program. We'll ask you to ask as many questions as you want. This is truly a gem, the program, in terms of giving you the platform to ask whatever, and there's no stupid questions. Everyone can learn from any question that we ask. And then finally, we hope that among yourselves, you can actually create a close, tight-knit cohort, a community. We'll talk a bit more later about this as well. So our cohort, in general, the LebNet Tech Fellows program targets non-senior students. So we expect that all of you have at least one more year next year before you graduate. The reason we do that is because you will see that this program is like drinking water from a fire hose. We offer you so many resources and so much advice, and we want to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed and that you actually have time to adopt whatever you're learning. And so you can usually do that during your senior year. We also know that many of you will apply for jobs or will apply for graduate school during your senior year. And again, senior year is basically your final year before you graduate. And so the timing of this program actually comes in very nicely to make sure you're prepared and ready before that senior year with all those deadlines come. And so the first cohort of the program was a pilot. Batul and Yahaf can share more about this. We were only 25 fellows from 3 universities. And since then, we've expanded to all universities in Lebanon. You're probably coming from a lot of engineering majors or also from technical majors or computational majors. So as long as there's some technical component to your work, you're welcome. And this year we actually have around 100 students joining us. So we're actually pretty excited about this year's cohort. In terms of just some rules and tips to set the groundworks for the program, first of all, we really encourage you to set up a WhatsApp group. You don't need to include us in the group. It's just for you. Every year, fellows usually like take initiative, and Janine or the LebNet team are happy to send out a link. If you create a WhatsApp group, send us the link, and we'll make sure to send it to everyone so people can join. It's really important for us that you don't gatekeep knowledge. You all got accepted into the program. You showcased initiative and passion about technology. And so you're all here, and now there's no competition among you. So we really want this to be a community experience. So we're here to learn together, we're here to help each other, and we really encourage you to do the same. So please, I used to know from like earlier years that fellows met up in person, fellows used to send internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities on the WhatsApp group. So please feel free to make that space as inclusive and as supportive of each other as possible. Um, Chatham House rules apply. So Chatham House is this think tank in the UK. And they have these rules where, people come in and learn many new things about the state of the world. But when you leave the house, you're free to share what you learned, but you don't necessarily say who taught you what. So basically, we want to try to create a safe environment for everyone to share their thoughts on the field, on to ask questions to guest speakers. And when you leave the LebNet Tech Fellows sessions, you're free to share what you learned with others, but please don't necessarily say, X person said this and Y person responded with that. So let's keep our identities anonymous to make everyone feel safe in terms of participating and asking and saying what's on their mind. Um, we struggle with this every year, but I will keep mentioning this. Please turn on your camera, especially if you're able to. Research proves that you're more likely to focus and to engage if your cameras are on. And for us on the LebNet team, it's just very nice to see the faces of the people we're talking to. So we always encourage you to do that. And then you are expected to attend all sessions. So this program only includes 11 sessions. There's very little work required of you to complete the program and graduate successfully. So we do ask you to commit to attending all these sessions. Also because you'll notice as the program goes on that will build upon knowledge that you learned earlier. So if you absolutely need to skip a session in case you're traveling or some crisis happened, please email us in advance so we can plan around that. But in general, we expect you to be attending everything. Oh, I see Christian's face. Thank you for opening up your camera. Yeah, and then in terms of tips, network, we really encourage you. Oh, I see so many faces. Thank you. So yeah, we really encourage you to schedule calls with your fellows. Through the program, you're also going to be assigned a LebNet mentor, who is probably someone Lebanese who works in technology in North America. And so these mentors and your fellows are actually going to be your support system. So you might find other fellows who have similar interests as you, like a smaller group of fellows who are interested in working in biomedical engineering or robotics. So those groups are very helpful in terms of answering each other's questions. You can reach out to the LebNet team, ask us to connect you with someone who works in the field you're interested in. So make sure to use the LebNet network as much as you can. Janine can speak more to that, but there are thousands of Lebanese people in technology in North America who would love to answer your questions and support you. Um, Please be honest and vulnerable. Again, we're all here to learn. We don't expect you to be superstars in your field. So make use of the space. Of course, ask respectful questions, and all questions are welcome. As we're all Lebanese, please avoid any divisive, political, sectarian, and discriminative remarks and discussions. Our country's going through so much, and so far we've had wonderful cohorts because everyone just believes in giving back to Lebanon, and in our power as young people to change the status quo in the country. If you need any accessibility accommodations, let us know. Sometimes Wi-Fi sucks in Lebanon. So if your Wi-Fi is spotty or you keep getting thrown out of Zoom, we're here, we'll admit you again. If you end up missing, let's say, the last part of the session because your power went off, let us know. We can send a recording of the session. So we have good mechanisms to make sure you're all good. Um, we encourage you to take notes. We will share slides, summary sheets if they're available, but we'll also have a lot of guest speakers, so some people might not be sharing their material. So we encourage you to take notes on what you think is important for you, what you've learned, and you can also share them on the WhatsApp group if anyone misses a session. And once again, please ask all questions on your mind. So this is what our schedule looks like. We are session one today. We'll be covering, I'll just give you a very brief overview of things we'll be covering. Next week, I'll be seeing you again, and we'll be covering everything that has to do with undergrad. So how do you conduct research? How do you approach professors? How do you decide on a major? How do you volunteer? So anything and everything that helps you start buffing up your resume or your CV in preparation for jobs and graduate school later. We'll have a session on personal branding. LinkedIn is a very important resource for finding jobs, and we'll be talking a lot about that. So you'll be covering that. Effective communication in terms of reaching out to people, in terms of networking, finding opportunities. Guide to career paths. So we'll be covering, again, many career options that you have. If there's something that you feel very strongly about or a career option you're very interested in, let us know and we will try to make sure that someone introduces that career path. We'll do crash courses, which are very intensive sessions where we cover as much as we can to get you started in fields of interest. So usually we source these fields from your applications. So in your applications, if you remember, you selected fields you're interested in, and then we usually check whichever has a lot of interest, and we have these sessions on. But again, your your LebNet mentors might be coming from different fields, so you'll get exposure to more fields and let us know if there's anything we're not covering. So we'll do software engineering, we'll do product management, we'll do crash courses on working in machine learning and product marketing, more crash courses on user experience, UI, UX, and hardware. And in these cases, and I think Janine can speak to this, you will get the choice to pick whichever areas you're interested in joining more. And then towards the end of the program, we'll have two, I think these are exceptionally good sessions. I mean, everything is exceptional in this program, but when I was younger, I wished I had these two sessions. One is a guide to industry. So everything you need to know in terms of navigating industry, referrals, getting your foot in the door, interview prep, and then guide to graduate school, funding, visas, choosing the right program, standardized exams, GREs. So we'll talk all about that. And the last session is usually an AMA. You'll be hearing the term AMA a lot, so start to keep it in mind. It stands for Ask Me Anything. And so ask us anything. And throughout the program, honestly, you're welcome to ask us anything, but that final session is just to cover any questions that you still had on your mind that weren't answered during the program. And so, as you know, these sessions run every other Saturday at 6 p.m. Beirut time. They're just usually an hour long. If you have questions, you can stay on after the hour ends. But they're very brief. They're honestly very little time of your time during the month. So I would very much encourage you to make sure you attend all of these sessions and make the most of the program. Sorry, was there a question? Okay. So in terms of deliverables, this program is very low time effort consuming. So after every session, we'll be sending out a survey that will take you probably 2 minutes to fill. It's literally your name, your email, and one thing you learned during the program. So please make sure to fill those in because those will be how we're taking attendance. And again, attendance is mandatory for your completion of the program. So we'll send that out today after the session and then every week after the session. And then you have until the next session to fill the survey for the session you attended. You'll all be actually building LinkedIn profiles during the program. So that's one of the things you expect to get done. You'll be working on your resumes. If you're applying for industry usually prefers a one-page resume. If you're applying for graduate school, universities usually accept CVs, which are longer. So there might be multiple pages and they include more academic focused information. So we'll talk all about that. You'll be guided during the program on how to prepare these resources. And your LebNet mentors will be there to support you if you want someone to review your material. And then finally, depending on if you're interested in industry or in academia, so graduate school or both, You'll be preparing a cover letter, if it's industry, a statement of purpose, if it's academia. And again, LebNet mentors can help you review and refine your work. So to graduate from the program, we basically expect you to attend the sessions, fill in the like 2-minute exit surveys, build a LinkedIn profile, create your resume and CV, and write your cover letter or statement of purpose. And honestly, on purpose, we came up with these deliverables because these will be more beneficial to you than to us. So this way, when you're done with the program, you actually have all the material you need to start applying for jobs and for graduate school after. Finally, in terms of communicating, it's easy to reach us over email. We usually respond within a day or so. And then among each other, we really encourage you to create a WhatsApp group. And then that should be it. So we have around 25 minutes of questions and answers. I'm here to answer whatever you want. I'll stop sharing the slides, but I can pull them up again if we need them. Janine is also here to answer more questions, and Rahaf and Betul were alumni of the program from the first year, so they can also answer questions about their experiences. And with that, I will. Oh, someone created a WhatsApp group. Rudi, thank you for doing that. So the link is in the chat, and we'll also send out the link in the email to all of you after the session. Okay, now I'll drink water and I'll let you all speak and share.
So while people are preparing their questions, I wanted, you had a couple mention of my name, and I took notes here. On the mentorship side, we will have group mentors assigned. So it'll be one mentor for 10 mentees. But certainly if you have specific questions that you don't feel are being addressed by your mentor, by all means, let us know, and we can assign you a specialized mentor in the area that you're looking for. On the crash courses in the curriculum, we'll send you the curriculum. There will be a few of the classes where you'll have a choice between multiple sessions, and you could jump from one session to another, or you could commit yourself to one session. Those will be highlighted in the curriculum that we will share with you for that specific session. I think there are 2 or 3 sessions like that where you'll have to choose the topic that you want to attend to that day, or you can also decide to jump between a couple sessions. We are going to try to record all of them in the breakout rooms. So you will, even if you commit yourself to one session, you will have access to the others at on your own time.
Thank you so much, Janine.
Thank you, Aya.
Of course. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Any questions about what material we're going to be covering? Okay, so someone's asking, how can we stay involved with LebNet after completing the program? Well, we have different options. Number one, what we've seen is cohorts stay connected. So these WhatsApp groups keep functioning after the program ends. Every year, we actually do send out invites to previous cohorts in case they'd like to join the new program or new sessions. I know from last year, a few of the earlier alumni who volunteered last year joined because there were new sessions being offered and new guest speakers, so that's always an option. We also have LebNet fellows. So throughout the program, you'll learn more about LebNet's many offerings, but one thing LebNet is great at is internships. So LebNet has an internship board. And last year, we had fellows who got offers through the LebNet internship board. So you can intern, and that keeps you also in the LebNet space. And then after that, there are many LebNet fellows who decide to stay in Lebanon, and also there are LebNet fellows who go abroad. If you come to North America, the LebNet connection and like network is pretty vast. We have, Janine, can you speak a bit about the landing scholarship or do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yes. So yeah, thank you, Aya. This is a good description of how people can continue to be involved with LebNet. I say definitely check out the website and follow us on LinkedIn. We post all of our programs and newsletters on there, so you can continue to stay aware of all of the different initiatives that we do. The program that Aya talked about, the soft landing program, is a program that targets students who have secured a scholarship in North America for graduate studies. studies. It gives them a small stipend to help with the travel expenses, and then teams them up with a mentor on the ground once they land in North America to help with any questions that they have as they're trying to integrate and adapt to the new environment. So
Perfect.
that's one of the programs, and the internship program is also another powerful program that offers North American opportunities to students in Lebanon. Not all of the internships are open to students in Lebanon, but some are. So as we start looking for internships, like last year, we had a couple of folks from the Tech Fellows program who were hired through the LebNet internship program.
Amazing. And Janine, do you also want to comment on the many talks and events that are happening through LebNet, and many of them are on Zoom?
Yes, and that's again, if you follow us on LinkedIn, and you will see all of the events that we do that are virtual events that you can tie into that would be of interest to you as well. We have a lot of them. Last year we had, I think, at least 10 events that were virtual that you could join on career development, as well as like job opportunities in Lebanon, things like that.
Cool. Thank you so much, Janine. We have more questions. So Ali's asking, yes, so you actually will receive a certificate of completing the fellowship program when you complete it. But again, to make sure to get the certificate and to graduate, the deliverables that we covered should be completed. Usually we have in-person certificate, like in completion ceremony, so we can talk more about that as the program goes. But they're usually very nice because they're in Lebanon. Usually sometimes people from LebNet are there as well. And you get to all meet together if you haven't met before in person. Hamad's asking how the fellows can find the internships. Janine, is the Apricot board up?
Yes, there is a job board. Again, on the LebNet website, we will post all of the opportunities there. I think that's the best way to stay in touch with what's available.
Perfect. And during the program, you'll be receiving, like, these resources will be highlighted, the links will be shared, so you'll be all set. Yeah. Khalid's asking regarding mentors. Yes, so Khalid's asking how the mentorship matching process basically happens. So usually what we do is we have tried one-on-one mentorship and group mentorship, and we found that group mentorship seems to be more effective because several fellows can come in and bring questions, and sometimes one of the fellows says, "Oh, like someone else asked a question I wasn't even aware of." So that's why we're matching you each 10 fellows together to one mentor. We've tried to match people based on their fields of interest, but sometimes mentors are not available for a group from that field. So what we usually recommend is start attending like mentorship calls with your mentor. And if you feel like your mentor isn't able to answer very specialized questions that you have about a specific field, let us know and we can usually connect you to someone who's in that field. Um, let's see. Mahmoud's asking, will there be any in-person meetings or will we stick to the virtual ones? So, Janine, I think the in-person stuff is pending due to the safety and well-being of everyone.
Yes, and the size of the group. I mean, today it's awesome. We have 82 participants. I mean, it could go up to 100. It's hard to get such a big group together. We had talked, definitely the year-end ceremony, we will try to do it in person. We had talked about a mid-year get-together. So we will look into that. We'll keep you posted on whether we're going to do it or not. But we also realize that it's tough for all of you to meet in one place, and that's one of the issues that we're grappling with, is how to get you all to gather in one place as well.
Yeah, I agree. And also, as we all know, the safety situation in Lebanon is a bit volatile for the time being, and it might be expensive for some folks on in the program to commute from farther areas if you're from Tripoli or the south. So for now, we're gonna make sure the sessions and the core content is covered on Zoom, and maybe the mid-year gathering could be more of a social, and the final ceremony is usually in person. So there will be opportunities for you to meet. If you discover through the WhatsApp group that you're neighbors or you go to the same university, we encourage you to meet, send us photos. So that's also an option. Um, Afif is asking, okay, so Afif was also asking about in-person programming. So I think we covered that. Thank you everyone for resending the WhatsApp link. Khalid is asking, to what extent will we be getting grad school help? Will it be general tips or will we be receiving resources on where and when? Yes. So that's a very good question, Khalid. So actually there is a LebNet member who graduated from AUB in 2014, I guess, and came to the States, did his PhD here. His name is Jalal Touma. And he wrote this like 25-page guide on how to navigate applying for grad school. So the detailed guidelines and the timeline and how to choose the program that fits you. So we usually share that guide. There is, I think, Hassan this year, who also did his PhD. He also went to undergrad in Lebanon, did his PhD at MIT, and is now working at Microsoft Research. Will also be leading the session. We cover a lot of grounds in terms of visas, like scholarships, how graduate school funding works. Every year, it's honestly like very like we're frustrated with how much like students graduating in Lebanon often don't know that you can come to the States and get a fully funded PhD. So we'll talk more about that. So that's in terms of the content. So you'll be getting honestly like pretty detailed information on how to navigate the grad school process. And then in terms of the material, you have your LebNet mentors who can help you with reviewing your academic CV and your statement of purpose. So that stuff will be covered during the program. Yeah. And then Joe, love that idea. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you can definitely start connecting. And then during the program, there will be a session. I think Michael Janine's going to be leading that session. On
I think, yeah, maybe Michael and maybe Sharb Al-Atallah.
Okay, so we honestly both are exceptional, wonderful people who will be leading a session on personal branding and LinkedIn and all the sorts of online networking for jobs. Um, yeah, so Muhammad's asking about how contacting mentors happens. So Janine, is it going to be an email connecting fellows to
Mm.
mentors?
Yes. So we're gonna once probably in a month, I would say, we will assign the mentees to a mentor, and you'll be notified who your mentor is. They will schedule 3 sessions with you, and it be on the Saturday where you're not tied up with this class. So it's gonna become a bit demanding. So wait for us to connect you with the mentor, and then the schedules will roll out from there.
Thank you, Janine. And again, I will say, even if like this program's only running for a few months and it's just 1 hour a week, so I would always recommend make use of these resources because at some point the program will end. So as long as you're connected to this network, do whatever you can to talk as many people as you can. Okay, any other questions? And again, thank you so much for all the questions already. Okay, Christian, do you want to ask?
Is Christian on mute?
Yeah, I think we can't hear you. We can even though you're unmuted, it's interesting. Try as much as you want and yeah, let's see.
Still hear me? Hold up.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. We can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. أول شيء الحمد لله سلامتكم اثنيناتكم. I heard so both of you are in California, right? عن جد الله يسعدكم. Be careful out there.
Thank you.
And thank you for the wonderful slides. To be honest, I'm very excited. I think I can speak on behalf of all of us. It's a wonderful opportunity that we're facing right now. And think as Lebanese students, if we're not very endorsed in research, we will not be getting those opportunities that you're mentioning. Those new technologies, those unconventional, let's say, ideas that come up. I'm personally wondering about the unconventional ideas. You hear just a little bit here, maybe like scraps of the true technological advancements that are happening in the Western world. Can you give me a couple of examples, if obviously, if possible, of like some new unconventional technology that is actually arising?
Yeah, so actually what I will say is there are a lot of LebNet members who are working on stealth startups, which is usually where the unconventional technology work is happening. And then I do want to comment on something you said. I personally like tried out research during undergrad, but I didn't publish anything. And then I came to Stanford. So there are ways for people in Lebanon who are interested in research to come to the States, and we'll talk more about that in the program. In terms of getting exposure to such technology. So again, this will all be covered during the program, but just as a highlight, in Lebanon, the technology field is more focused on saturated technology. So it's software engineering. So like Anghami, for example, like it's software engineering for music streaming or telecom like companies, or at Beirut Digital District, and we'll talk more about that. There are a few really cool startups doing nice work. But there aren't resources and there isn't like strong enough infrastructure in Lebanon for stuff like particle physics to be going on. And so that's where research comes in terms of if you're interested in working on cutting edge technology, it might be worth it to think of a PhD or a graduate school because those are usually the degrees that open doors in those areas. However, if you're interested in being in an engineer role and working at a company working on cutting edge tech, but you're not necessarily doing the research and development, engineering degrees, bachelors are sometimes honestly like more than enough. So we'll be covering these differences. And during the guides sessions at the end, we're also going to be talking about the nuances of how you can get into each. I don't know if that's a good enough answer for now, Christian, but like that's a good maybe foreshadow of what's to come.
It's just that I'm eager, you know, we're all eager here to understand. It's definitely eye-opening. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good
And
enough.
Janine, do you have any thoughts on this question further?
Unconventional technology. I mean, there is a lot going on, and you'd get some exposure. Like we have the session on robotics where Eve Dawood is going to be showing you the robot they're working on and the progress that's been made on actually the stuff that a robot can do and how they're programming it to be more like a human and the gotchas about it. So I think there will be some interesting stuff that will bubble up throughout the classes. So join us.
Yes.
I'll leave you with that teaser.
Will do, Akid, will do. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, honestly, maybe last point to this question and we'll move on to other questions. We have a full crash course session on machine learning, and that one's usually popular because, well, we're all using machine learning tools like ChatGPT and such. But it's fascinating to hear from LebNet members who are working on these actual algorithms and models. So you'll be getting like the insider's view to what it's like to actually work on this versus just be consuming it. So there's also a session on that. So that might be interesting too. Cool. Let's see. So other questions. Yeah, if anyone also wants to share out their question versus type it, you're very welcome to interrupt us and just speak up. I'm seeing a question from Hamad to me and Janine about our educational and career backgrounds. Janine, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So my background is electrical engineering. I have a bachelor's and a master's, and I worked for IBM for 30 years. So my entire career was with one company, which is very unusual in this day and age. But you know, I'm from a previous generation. And when I retired from IBM, I started volunteering with LebNet and started the LebNet internship program. And it was the time for me to give back, which you know I wish I had started earlier because it's an amazing thing to connect with people like-minded Lebanese in technology, and I applaud Aya who's started like since she was I don't know 10. Aya, you've been given back. It's just amazing to me. And I've become the executive director of LebNet since 2021. And it's truly been an honor for me to work with people like Aya and people like you to try and create opportunities for Lebanese in technology and connect all of us.
Thank you so much for sharing, Janine. And Janine, you also moved to the States to Vermont, right? Where it was cold, like there was like a whole weather shift and
Yes, my point of entry was Massachusetts. I did my undergrad in Springfield, and then I moved to Vermont, which was below zero temperatures. It's much gentler now, but it used to be really bad. And I lived in Vermont for 16 years. And it was somewhat of a remote area compared to, you know, coming from Beirut, that was very cultured and bustling. Vermont was very remote and uh, like not so cultured. It was a culture shock, honestly. And then I moved to New York and San Diego, and things improved from the weather perspective for sure.
that's very fair. And so based on Janine's experiences, if any of you end up applying for and getting into grad school in North America. We're here to talk about the culture shock. Yeah. About me, I was born and raised in Lebanon, in Beirut. And I went to AUB for undergrad. I studied computer engineering. So CCE for AUB folks here, because now there's like 4 degrees in the ECE department. And then during my 3rd year, I emailed one of my professors who used to teach electronics, and I said, I'm really enjoying this class. I honestly came to AUB to study software, but I'm finding electronics much more fun. It's like a puzzle that you have to solve. And so she asked me to meet, and then she offered me to do research with her, to learn how to do research. So that's how I started getting into the academic side of technology. So we did research on designing hardware accelerators for machine learning. And then my last year of AUB, I knew I wanted to apply for graduate school because I enjoy doing research. And so I applied to many schools, and we can talk more about that later in terms of how you choose the schools and the interview process. And then I came to Stanford. Stanford offered a full funding for my degree, and I also applied for something called the Knight Hennessy Scholarship, which I got. So we can also talk about scholarships later. And I've been here for 5 years. During undergrad, I did a few fellowships in the States, so I think I felt less of a culture shock than Janine did. But I think we speak at least for both me and Janine, we're very tied to Lebanon and we go back often. So those are our paths. My focus area used to be bioelectronics. So I used to design hardware for implants and health monitoring. And since like 3 years ago, I switched to education technology, and that's going to be my long-term area. So again, me and Janine are happy to talk more about our fields. But I hope, Muhammad, that covers your question. Rudi is asking for the alumni. Yes, if you can share any advice you have to benefit to the maximum from the program. So Batul and Zahaf, would you like to reflect on this question?
Hello.
Hi, Zahaf, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So, I was in the 2023 program, and it was very different than the one right now, but it was also very beneficial. I also had the opportunity to attend a couple of sessions last year, which were also exceptionally beneficial. What I would advise you to do is during this 1 hour session, try to give it your full focus. Take notes. Don't be afraid to contact the speakers, ask your questions. Just give it your all. It is really beneficial if you give it your focus.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shahab. Batul,
Hello.
additional thoughts? Hello.
I'm Batul Hamoud. Last year, I had the privilege of serving as a program coordinator, and I'm beyond excited to take on this role again this year and continue making an impact. So, I encourage everyone to use this opportunity to connect, learn, and grow with this amazing network. So, I think networking is the main thing I learned from this program. I advise like you connect with speakers after the meetings, you can connect on LinkedIn especially after you fix your LinkedIn profile and so on. And I recommend you take benefit from doing your CV and the statement of purpose because you're not, يعني, when you have deadline, gonna be much easier for you to already have something to build on. And one more thing, I think this is your chance to explore which path you wanna take to prepare ahead of time. And yeah, I
Thank
wish
you.
you best of luck.
Thank you, Batul. Actually, maybe following up, so Natalie is asking if we can share examples of previous participants who successfully transitioned after the program into careers. Rahaf and Batul, do you want to share what you're up to right now?
Okay, so I'm gonna talk about my experience like upon the program. Volunteered with LebNet as well. I did 2 different internships during my summer. One of them is with Middle East Airlines. It's a very prestigious company in Lebanon. Everyone knows Middle East. And I'm still not sure what I'm doing next year. It depends if I'm gonna get accepted in some programs or not. So wish me luck. But
Amazing. So
definitely
Batul,
LebNet has been very instrumental in this.
perfect. So Batul, you're considering graduate school?
Fine.
Okay, cool. And Dahaf, do you want to share what you're up to? Wait, we might have lost Rahaf. Well, Rahaf, if you're back.
I think Rahaf is not in the meeting more.
It's okay. I guess, see, that's why we have accommodation. So if Rahav's power is out, she'll join again in a bit. Yeah, I can share a bit more too. We had actually it was a nice story. We had a fellow from, I forgot if it was the first or the second cohort, who ended up really being interested in consulting because we did have a session on consulting. And then she ended up running leading the consulting competition at LEU. And Janine, she connected with you and LebNet, and LebNet was involved.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, so now she's a management consultant at a one of the big four management consulting companies in the Gulf. We also have an alumna who got into Cambridge. So she actually connected with me and we worked a bit on her graduate school application. So this program is young. So we only have one class of people who might have by now graduated from college. And we're already seeing them like finding and leading careers in Lebanon or abroad, but it's always been tied to technology. So yeah. Okay, so we have just a few more minutes. I'm happy to stay on a bit longer, so we can answer more questions. Muhammad, you have your hand raised. Do you want to ask anything?
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
How are you doing, guys?
Mhm.
Thank you so much for your insights for this initiative. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed the session, and I hope this year is full of blessings on everyone here. Blessings and success in both careers and on life prospects. I have some sort of a follow-up question to my previous question. I really enjoyed your insights about your careers and your educational paths. I noticed that, Miss Janine, you were more focused into actually working in the field, uh, more of a corporate side, and Miss Aya, you're more of research oriented. So I'd like to see like what drove you into that and what drove her into that, that kind of contrast. Because I'm interested also in research, but I'm also working. So I don't know what to do in the future, you know?
Yeah, that's very fair. And also call us Aya and Janine. Like in the States, there's no Miss and Doctor. We're all the same. Janine, do you want to go ahead?
Yes, for me, I would say that I would have loved to do more research, but I was driven to make money.
Mhm.
Because at that point in time, I had to get a job. It was yet another crisis in Lebanon with the devaluation of the currency. Our parents had sent 3 kids to North America at the same time to go to college. And so my motivation was to try and help. Like, sadly, it is today, a lot of people try to jump into a job to send money back to Lebanon and support their families. So I was very motivated to get a corporate job. I was lucky enough to get a corporate job because at the time I didn't have my US papers or passport. So I got hired by IBM, which was a big company, is still a big company. And I did multiple jobs. I mean, I know I'm a one company career person, but IBM was 300,000 employees. And so it's like a nation on its own and had many, many different branches of businesses that you could dabble into. So you didn't have to move companies to try different jobs and different opportunities. And so all in all, my path kind of charted itself once I started working with IBM and I stayed with them and I tried many different aspects of, from circuit design to management to operations, and then again went back into the executive ranks. So it was an amazing career for me, and I don't have any regrets in jumping, from college straight into a career where I can use my skills and develop myself.
Amazing. And during the Tech Fellows program, there's actually quite a good balance and representation between industry and academia. So you'll get a lot of these perspectives. Yeah, I think for me, I during undergrad I wanted to work on like health monitoring using circuits and technology. So in general, like this is more of a niche space and it does require more advanced degrees. So having a bachelor's degree might not be enough to get that type of job. And I came from a lower middle class family, so my parents did not have the funds to send me to grad school abroad. So my only way to go to grad school was through getting a PhD because PhDs are usually funded. So today, graduate students across the states, there are more and more schools where students are unionized. And so we actually have pretty decent salaries, like we can live comfortably. I go back home often. I send money to my parents. And so that was my way of getting into academia because number one, the stuff I wanted to do needed a higher degree. And number two, the only way I could go abroad for grad school was actually through funding through a PhD. So there are a lot of like nuances to it, and we'll talk more about them. Yeah. More questions. So Ali's asking if we offer scholarships on LebNet's website. So LebNet has the micro grant that Janine talked about. We will cover like different scholarships around the world that you can apply to, and we'll cover those during the guide to graduate school session. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that, but LebNet per se does not offer like full scholarships. Okay. Any other questions before we call it a day?
Before we end it, I just wanted to say I'm really very pleasantly surprised with the engagement level, the questions that are coming in. This energy is incredible. I hope you guys keep this up throughout the program. Last year, I won't lie to you, I know you don't want me to talk about other cohort, but it started out of the gate really strong, and then it kind of dwindled down a little bit. This is an amazing opportunity that you guys are getting, and it's amazing for us to get to meet you and know you. So please maximize on it. Stay engaged throughout the whole program. As Aya said, it's 11 sessions. That's it. But the amount of stuff you can get out of it is up to you and your engagement. So keep it up. I'm so happy about what's happening today.
Honestly, same here. You all seem like you have so much energy, and we're excited to talk about you in a few years when someone asks us what program alumni have been up to. Cool. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Also, special thanks to the rest of our LebNet Tech Fellows team who are not here. Lean, Aya, Michael, Janine, who did I miss? We will meet them all during the program. But yeah, we're very excited for you, and we'll be seeing you soon. So next session is going to be not next Saturday, the Saturday after. And you'll be seeing me again, and we'll be talking about a lot of undergrad things. So keep on the lookout. You will receive an email from LebNet wrapping up the session, including the attendance/exit survey form. So make sure to fill it so we can record that you attended today. Cool. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, everyone. Of course, of course. Bye-bye.